Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season. And if you're watching this video and it's 2022, Happy New Year to you. I'm so glad you could join me today. We're going to be making that gorgeous necklace that you saw in the intro. We're going to be working with a lot of beads. We're going to be working with wire. We're going to be doing some wire wrapping. And if you've never done that before, now's a chance for you to learn. So I'm glad you're here. We're going to be using the gorgeous beads that came in Didi's Deluxe Bead box, the December edition, which I did an unboxing not too long ago. I'll leave that link down below so you can go check it out if you haven't seen it. And if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave a link to the website as well so you can go check it out. I've only done one unboxing for Didi's beads and I was very impressed with that box. They had a beautiful collection of glass and lampwork and onyx beads, and that's what we're going to be using in today's tutorial. Now, if you don't have those beads, you can still make this necklace. I'll leave a very detailed list of all the materials we're going to be using for today's project down in the description section of this video. But anyway, guys, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I sure did. And I want to show you one of the gifts I received. It is so gorgeous. Let me go get it. It's kind of big, but I'm going to try to show you. Here it is. It's a blanket. And on one side is Lulu. And on the other side is my cat, Boo Boo. Isn't it adorable? I love this blanket, and it's so nice of my family to give me this gorgeous blanket. They know I love cats. But anyway, guys, that's my present. One of my presents anyway. I mean, what else are you going to give a cat lover? I actually love all cats, not just my cats. Every night when I go on my walks, I come across this really cute kitty. It's a black kitty, and it always greets me in the middle of the street. And my impulse is to pick it up, bring it home, feed it. But I don't want to do that because I don't know if it has a home or not. I'm hoping it does. But I feel so bad because this poor kitty is always outside in the cold, and I know cats don't like cold. So anyway, guys, that's enough talking. Let's go ahead and turn the camera around and we'll get started with this tutorial. Here's the box we're going to be working with. And it's the December edition, okay? And the theme is Celebrate 2022 in Style. Let me show you what we're going to need. I've already played around with these a little bit. We're going to be using some beads from this beautiful strand. This one is called Didi's Designer Crystal Mix. We're definitely going to be using some beads from this beautiful strand of Cathedral cut onyx beads. We'll be using these pearl beads in this gorgeous copper color. We'll be using all 6 of these red lampwork beads and 2 of these fan shape beads. And let me show you this. I wasn't sure what I was going to make today, so I got started on this pendant using that beautiful black coral drop, as you can see, and this connector. This is actually very roughly put together and I'm still working on a design, but it's going to have to wait for another day. It's not going to be part of today's project. We're going to be using these gorgeous diamond cut hematite beads, and we'll be using the chain. I absolutely fell in love with this chain and I knew I had to use it. And we'll be using these 4mm red crystal beads. These are so gorgeous. Let me put these away. I found this chain in my stash. It's a very chunky chain, as you can see. The lengths are about 7 by 10 millimeters in dimension. And it's a kind of a gunmetal color, as you can see. And I think this is going to look really nice with the onyx beads. And it's basically a curved oval chain, as you can see. But you can use any kind of chain, okay? You don't have to use a gunmetal color. You can use a gold chain if you want to. But if you have black or gunmetal, that would be better. And I also found these beads. These are a little bit larger than 4 millimeters. I would say they're about 5 millimeters in size. And it's just a faceted crystal. It's not a big deal. It's just something that I had in my stash. They're pentagon shaped. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but that's the shape of the facets. But if you have some other kind of crystal that's black, that would be fine as well. Another option would be to use the black rondelles from this strand, but these are a little bit larger than what I want. But you can certainly use these. You're just going to have to adjust your design a little bit. I'm going to be using some 22 gauge wire. This is by Bead and it's German style wire, and it's a gold color, as you can see. Now I was going to use this beautiful magnet clasp, but I decided to save it for a bracelet because I always have trouble with bracelet clasps, and I prefer magnet clasps for that. So today we're going to be using a lobster claw clasp, and it's a gunmetal color, as you can see. It's just a basic lobster claw clasp. And I have a couple of jump rings here. These are about 6.5 millimeters in dimension. But if you have anything between 6 and 7, that would be fine as well. And these are a gunmetal color, as you can see. So let's go ahead and pull the beads off the strands. I'm going to be using these peach colored beads here. I'm going to go ahead and remove 4 of them. I'm not sure exactly how many yet. Now this is based on the necklace that I'm going to be making for myself. But if you want a necklace that's longer or shorter, obviously you'll have to adjust the number of beads. But I'll leave a list of all the materials down in the description section of this video, okay, in case you want to duplicate the necklace exactly. I'll put the rest of these away, although I'm tempted to use all of them because they're so gorgeous. Especially this red one. Look how gorgeous this red rondelle is. It's so pretty. I love the AB finish on it. We'll be using 4 of these cathedral beads. It may change later on. I'm just putting some out just to start with. And I am going to use these seed beads, okay? These are actually very nice seed beads. They're kind of a golden color. I think they're a size 8/0. So let me just pull 4 out for now. And I'll pull out a bunch of these seed beads. If I'm using 4 of these cathedral cut beads, I will need 8 seed beads. 2 seed beads per onyx bead. So here are my seed beads and here are my black onyx beads. We're going to be using 8 of these red 4mm crystals. There are my 8. We'll be using 4 of these copper colored pearls. I'm not sure of how many of these hematite beads we're going to use, so I'm just going to pour out a few. A little pile here. We're going to use 2 of these fan shape beads and all 6 of these red lampwork beads. I absolutely adore these. They're so gorgeous. And I kind of feel bad because now that means I don't have any for earrings, but that's okay. We have plenty of other beads to work with. So today we're going to build some wire wrapped beaded components, and we're going to be using this 22 gauge wire. And we're going to start by cutting ourselves little pieces. Each one can be between 2.5 and 3 inches, okay? I recommend that you do 3 if you're just starting out because it's just easier to work with something that's a little bit longer versus something that's too short, okay? If you're advanced, you can obviously get away with a little bit less than that. And I'm not measuring each one of these pieces of wire. I've done this so many times, I just eyeball it. Okay, so we're going to work with this right now, and I'll cut some more later on. You're going to need some round nose pliers. These are by Strand. These are my favorite pliers. I like these because they have a very small tip at the very end. So basically, you take your wire, you grab it a little bit more than 1/3 of the way down, like this, kink it, like this, reposition your pliers to the shorter end, okay? Now it matters where you put it on the barrel, okay? It all depends on how big you want your loops. I like to put mine somewhere in the middle, okay, but yours may be different depending on the pliers that you use. And now we're going to wrap this short end around the barrel of the pliers like this. Flip your pliers around and continue to wrap towards the back like this. Remove your pliers, and this is what you should have. Now we're not going to do any wraps just yet because we're going to load the beads first, and we'll do the wrapping as we assemble the necklace. As you can see, I did the same thing with the rest of the wire that I had here, but we're going to be needing a whole lot more than just this. I just wanted to get started. So let me show you how we're going to do this. We're going to start with a lampwork bead, and we're going to thread a hematite bead onto the wire, and then the lampwork bead, and then another hematite bead, like this. And now we're going to do another loop on this side. Grab the wire at the top of the bead, okay? So we're going to simply give it a kink like this, switch the pliers around to this end of the wire, wrap it around, flip your pliers around, and continue to wrap that wire towards the back, just like this, okay? We're not going to close the wraps yet. We're simply going to put it down, and now we're going to go to the next bead. Let's go ahead and do one of the copper ones now. We're going to do the same thing for the copper beads. We're going to thread a hematite bead, a copper bead, another hematite bead. Now here's an important tip if you're doing the loops ahead of time like we are, okay? Normally what I do is I grab the wire at the top of the bead pretty snugly, but in this case I'm not so concerned because I need to leave myself enough wire at both ends of this component so that I can do wraps, okay? So in other words, normally I'd grab it at the very end like this, okay, as snugly as I possibly can, but I'm not doing that this time because, like I said, I want to leave myself enough wire to be able to do wraps at this end and the other end, okay? As you can see, there's plenty of room on this side and this side to do a couple of wraps. Let's go ahead and do the cathedral beads now. For the cathedral beads, we'll load one of these 8/0 seed beads, then the cathedral bead, and another 8/0 seed bead at the other end of the bead, like this. Okay, same thing. Grab the wire at the top of the bead, give it a kink, reposition, wrap the end around your pliers like this, flip your pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, and this is what you should have. If you see a space there, don't be too concerned because we're going to be doing some wraps, so that space will go away once we do the wraps. So that's the cathedral bead. Let's do one of these peach colored rondelles. We're going to thread a red crystal onto the wire and a rondelle and another red crystal like this. Grab the wire at the top of the bead, kink it, reposition, wrap the tail around your pliers, flip your pliers around, and continue to wrap the tail to the back, like this. So we're going to do the rest of these beads here the exact same way. Okay, you have 4 different kinds of beads. Now for the fan shape beads, we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to load a hematite bead, and then the fan shape bead, another hematite bead, like this. Grab the wire at the top of the bead, line up the bottom loop, kink it, reposition, wrap it around your pliers, flip your pliers around, and continue to wrap that tail to the back, like this. Okay? That one's going to be done the exact same way, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the film, and I'm going to do the rest of these beads, and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I attached the wire to all of my beads. I have some here. These are going to go on the bottom of the strand. We're going to put these off to the side for now. We're going to work with these 2 right now. These are the 2 strands that are going to be attached to the chain, which is going to go at the bottom. Okay, so as you can see, we have the fan shape bead here. Then comes a lampwork bead, then the peach colored bead, then the black onyx bead, another lampwork bead, and the copper colored pearl bead. You might want to take a screenshot if you want to. But don't worry too much about the bead sequence right now, because at the end of the video, I'll put up a picture of the completed necklace so you can take a screenshot. So we're going to go ahead and start linking these beads, and I'm going to start with the top of the necklace first. And this is so easy, guys. We're going to leave the top loop open. We're not going to close this one with wraps. We're going to go ahead and close this bottom one now. I like to grab the loop with these pliers. These are by Xuron, and these are actually crimping pliers, but I use the very tip, which is flat, as you can see, and I just grab the loop like this. Okay, I like these because they grab really, really well. And then with another set of pliers, and these are by Xuron as well, I grab the tail and I do a couple of wraps. I don't like to do more than a couple, but if you want to do more than 2 wraps, by all means do so. Just like that, okay? Remove your pliers, snip off the excess, and now we're going to tuck the little tail in. And this is what you should have, okay? And this bead is going to go at the top of the necklace like this. So now we're going to attach the next one, which is the lampwork bead. So we're simply going to take the open loop and slide it into the closed loop, the one that we just wrapped, like this. Grab the loop with your skinny pliers like this. Take your other pliers and do a couple of wraps. And now we're going to snip off the excess. And by the way, these are by Lindstrom as well. These are great cutters. I love these. And just like before, we're going to go ahead and squish down that little tail, the little end. So now we have these two. And now I'm going to go ahead and close this loop now. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little end. Okay, and now we're going to grab this one and we'll do the same thing. We'll link it onto the closed loop like this. Grab the loop with your skinny pliers, and then with your other pliers you're going to do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck in the little end. Grab the open loop of this component now like this and do a couple of wraps. And this will eliminate any space and you won't see the wire at all. Okay, it's a little tricky because initially you're going to see a little post showing, okay, but once you do the wraps the space will go away. And always make sure you tuck in the little end. So this is what we have so far. Okay, I'm going to continue to link these and then I'll link these in the same manner and I'll meet you back. I'm going to speed up the film. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I connected all the beaded components and I left the loops open at the bottom and at the top so that I can connect the strands. We're going to have 3 strands at the bottom. 2 of them are going to be just chain and one's going to be a beaded chain. And at the top, we're going to have some more beaded chain to finish the necklace. So let me go ahead and move this off to the side. And we're going to be working on a beaded strand that's going to be hanging at the bottom along with these 2 pieces of chain. Okay, it's going to hang above that right here. So let me put these off to the side. Okay, so here's the arrangement. Now initially I had told you we needed 4 of the cathedral beads, but I actually figured out that we actually need 5, okay? We want this strand to be approximately 7.5 inches long. A lot of it depends on how big your loops are. So once everything's linked, we'll figure out exactly how much chain we'll need. But right now I'm estimating that I want a 7.5 inch piece of beaded strand. So like I said before, instead of the 4 cathedral beads, we're using 5, okay? And here's how we're arranging it. And it's not exactly symmetrical, as you can see. I didn't want it to be symmetrical. I wanted it to be a little bit random. But the colors are still distributed evenly. As you can see, I have the 2 Lampwork beads spaced out pretty evenly. But anyway, guys, this is where you get to be creative and just play around with the combinations and how you want to lay out your bead pattern. So once again, we're going to start at this end. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I finished the bottom strand. And let me show you how it's going to look with the chain. We're going to connect the chunky chain below this. And we're going to connect the large oval chain below that, like this. Doesn't that look beautiful? I love that. And let me show you what it's going to look like with the other two strands. This gives you some idea. I am going to remove some of these lengths. Okay, this chain's a little bit too long, but the lengths of these bottom strands are as follows. This one's going to be 7.5 inches long. This one's going to be about 8 inches, okay? And this one's going to be approximately 9 3/4. And one of these loops is going to serve as a connecting point for these two strands, okay? But you'll see later on once we get to assemble everything. Let's go ahead and measure this piece now. We want 9 3/4 exactly, okay? So we have about 5 links that we're going to be removing. And that's always kind of scary because once you cut this, that's it, okay? There's no turning back. But I'm going to be brave and I'm going to use my heavy duty memory wire cutters. These are by Xuron as well. And the reason I'm using this is because I don't know how strong these links are and I don't want to damage my other cutters. So here we go. And the metal was actually not that hard. So now we're just simply going to open up this link. Remove the portion we're not going to use. And this is what we're left with. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to connect this strand to this link here. So we're going to slip it into the open loop. Like this. Grab the loop with your skinny pliers and do a couple of wraps. And now we'll cut off the excess. And tuck in the little end. So this strand is connected now, okay? Now we're going to connect this end, okay? It might be a good idea, guys, to open up this loop a little bit just to make it easier for you to slide the link into it, okay? Because these links are actually pretty thick. And now we're going to grab the loop of the beaded component and grab the tail and close it up with a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck in the little end. So this is what we have so far. Now these links are actually cut, so you can actually open them up, which is good because then I don't have to use my cutters. So I'm simply going to grab the link like this, and then with some flat nose pliers, I'm going to open it up like this, slide it into this first link of this oval chain, and close it up. Make sure you close it really well. It's a good idea to lay it down flat before you connect the other side. Make sure the links are laying flat on your mat. And just like before, we're going to grab that link, open it up, hook it onto the link of the oval chain, and close it up. That's looking really gorgeous. I love it. And now we're going to connect the bottom strand, which is going to sit right above that. So once again, we're going to connect it to the oval link. Grab the loop of the beaded component and grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess, tuck in the little tail, and now we just have to connect this end to the oval link. So once again, slide the open loop of your beaded component into the oval link. Let me open it up a little bit first to make it easier. So once again, slide it into the oval link like this. Let me close up this loop a little bit. Grab it with your skinny pliers and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck in the little end. Tell me that's not adorable. Don't you just love these colors? I think they're so gorgeous. I love these Lampwork beads. They really add a lot to this necklace. Now, because these links are so large, what might happen is that this chain may slip through like that. But once it hangs down and you have gravity and you give it a little shake, everything's going to fall into place just right. So I'm not too concerned about it. But anyway, guys, this necklace right now is about 18 inches long. You can stop right here and add a clasp and call it a day. But we have these two large beads here, and the reason I put those two large beads there is because I was going to continue building the strand to make it a very long necklace. I like the idea of a multi-strand necklace that's long. I made one not too long ago with chain at the bottom and I really liked it. This one's a little bit different because it's got the wrapped component. The other one was just strung on beading wire, so this one's a little bit different and a little bit fancier, I think. But anyway, I'm going to make this one very long. I'm going to make it between 36 and 38 inches long, including the clasp. And like I said, you can make it whatever length you want. I'm going to be using these 4mm beads for the top portion of the strand. And I'm going to use the same method that I used here, just with smaller beads. And I don't know how many I'm going to build just yet. I'm going to use the same gauge wire, 22 gauge wire, but I'm going to keep building them until I think I have enough to make a 36-inch necklace. So let me go ahead and do one bead to show you what I'm talking about. Now for these, you'll need less wire. You'll need about 2.5 inches because these are tiny beads. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab the wire a little bit more than a third of the way down, kink it, reposition, wrap it around my pliers like this, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back like this, thread the bead on, bring it down, grab the wire at the top of the bead. I'm going to leave myself a little space like I said before because I want to make sure that I have enough room to create wraps at both ends of this bead. Kink it, reposition, wrap it around, flip the plier around, and continue to wrap to the back like this. Okay? And here's my necklace. And now I can go ahead and close this. So I'm going to grab the loop and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck the little end in. Take my little bead. Slide the open end into the closed end like this. Grab the loop of the little bead. Do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck the little end in. And that's all there is to it, okay? I skipped ahead and did a couple more, as you can see. Now for the rest of this strand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the traditional way. I'm not going to do it production style, okay? The traditional way would be to get the loop made and then slip it into the closed loop after you've formed it, okay, like this. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab the loop and do a couple of wraps. Just like that. Snip off the excess. Tuck in the little end. So now we have the two wraps formed. Thread the bead on. Okay. And now we're going to grab the wire very snugly this time because now we don't need to worry about room or spacing. Okay. Kink it. Switch. Wrap it around the pliers like this. Flip your pliers around. Continue to wrap to the back like this. Remove the pliers and then you can go ahead and close this loop with some wraps. And now snip off the excess and tuck it in. Now this method is more time consuming, obviously. Anytime you do production style, it's a lot quicker. But the reason I did production style down here is because I wanted to make sure that, you know, if I changed my mind, that I could switch the beads around. Okay, so whenever you're creating bead patterns or you're not sure of how you're going to connect everything, it's a good idea to leave the loops open. Okay, that way if you change your mind, you don't have to like cut it and redo it. But when you're doing a beaded component like this where all the beads are the same, then it's safe to do a traditional method of wrapping the beads. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So anyway, I'm going to continue to build my strand until I get the length that I want, and then I'll meet you back when I get to the final beaded component. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I'm almost done. I just have the one more beaded component to attach. So very simply, slip the loop in, grab the loop with the skinny pliers, do a couple of wraps, snip off the excess, tuck in the little tail, thread on the bead, grab the wire at the top of the bead, line up the bottom loop, kink it, wrap it around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, wrap the tail around towards the back, and now we're going to grab the loop and close it up with a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess, tuck in the little tail. So now I'm done with the strands, and now I just have to attach the clasp. And I don't like to attach the lobster claw clasp directly onto the wire because the wire is coated, and if you attach a lobster claw clasp directly onto the wire with no jump ring on the other side, the coating may come off with time. So I prefer to use jump rings for that reason. So here's my jump ring, and we're just simply going to open it up like that, attach it. And you really don't need a clasp for a necklace this long, but the reason I'm showing you this is in case you want to make a necklace that's shorter. So anyway, I like to use jump rings. I don't like to attach the clasp directly onto the wire because, like I said, the coating does come off with time, okay? And there's a lot of wear and tear at the clasp. So let's go ahead and open up this jump ring now for the other side. And now we're going to attach the clasp. Close it up. Make sure there's no gap. This jump ring's really strong too. It's about 19 gauge. You can also use a gold clasp. You don't have to use a gunmetal one. I just thought I would use gunmetal just to make it look more interesting. And I really like how that looks. Look at this necklace. Isn't it pretty? Oh my gosh. It's so adorable. It's hard to see the whole thing because it's so long. I just measured it and it measures about 36 inches. So it's a very long necklace. So of course, if you wanted a shorter necklace, you would use less of the smaller beads at the top. But I love the look of long necklaces. I either like them really minimalist, very small, or very long like this. But I think it's super cute. Look at this. I love these colors, guys. I really do. I love the combination of the gunmetal and the gold. And like I said before, these beautiful lampwork beads really set it off. And of course, I love the black onyx as well. And like I said before, if you don't have these beads, you can use the black rondelles that came in the mixed strand. I just like my beads to be a little bit more delicate at the top. But anyway, guys, I'm going to put this necklace on and show you what it looks like. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back. Well, that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope I've inspired you to make your own beautiful necklace. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Wishing everybody a happy and prosperous new year.